All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting edition of Geekdom QNA. Bonus episode here. I won't be able to do bonus ones all the time, but because I have so many questions and I don't know when the hell I'm going to be able to get through all these questions, on occasion, I will definitely do my best to hit you with some bonus Q&A questions, Q&As, videos to answer your questions. Without any further ado, let's go ahead and answer these, as many as I can do today. Probably a shorter edition than most, but we'll see how far I get. All right. First question. When Porunga restored 10 Chaozu Yamcha, why is it that they each had one wish, as with Krillin it took two? Well, what happened was, with Krillin, because he died on planet Namek, they had to use an extra wish to transport his soul from planet Namek to the check-in station, because with the other guys, they died on Earth, but because Krillin was on Namek, had they asked Porunga to restore Krillin back to life, he would have come back to life in the vacuum of space, because there was no planet Namek anymore, and thus would have died. Whereas the remaining three characters died on Earth, they preserved the bodies, therefore they were able to come back. The only thing that's a little bit of a plot hole is that we see in the at the end of the Vegeta saga, we see Bulma kind of preserve their bodies. Yamcha's was also preserved, but when they wished him back, he just appeared there in front of everybody, with his body back. He didn't like wake up from the preservation tank like they did in the Dragon Ball when Krillin, Roshi, and Chaozu came back to life. So that's a little bit of a plot hole, but not anything too crazy. We can just assume that maybe Porunga did them a favor and transported Yamcha there just to save some time, excuse me, because Porunga did do them a favor by putting Krillin's body back together when he brought him back to life. So again, so the dragons sometimes do that. But that's why it took two wishes. One to transport him away from the vacuum of space, and one to bring him back to life. Officially. What happened to Crane Hermit? We don't really know. We don't really know exactly what happened to him. The last time we saw him was, of course, when in the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai, when Tao had come back, and of course he tried to kill Tenshinhan. Tenshinhan fucked him up and was like, listen, you and him, get the hell out. That's what happened. After that, we never saw him again. There's a number of characters from Dragon Ball that we never saw again that I am still kind of hoping will make a comeback during the revival of F-Arc in Dragon Ball Super. We haven't seen like some of the tournament competitors like Gidan, or we haven't seen Bacterian. We haven't seen King Chappa. We haven't seen, and Crane Hermit also. Some other characters made a few cameos, but we haven't seen these guys, and I would like them to come back. I would love nothing more than when they do the Revival of F series adaptation, because I wanted this in the movie as well. I would love nothing more than if they actually, like, had Piccolo or whatever go out and scout these guys to help them fight Frieza's army. That would be awesome. Maybe they're too weak, maybe not. Frieza's army can't be that strong, so that would be great. In Dragon Ball, did they ever reference Krillin, Tien, or Yamcha's parents? I don't remember a single reference to any of these things in Dragon Ball. The only thing we know about Krillin, and maybe I missed something. Again, I don't remember every piece of dialogue, but maybe what we know about Krillin is that he was a monk. There was a guidebook somewhere that said that Tien was actually an alien. I never really bought that. I gotta go and look into that to see the information on that. I am gonna eventually do a Who is Tien Shinhan video, all about this guy, because I think he's an underrated character, and I think that Dragon Ball really showed a lot of development for this guy. And Yamcha, we don't know anything about him. He's a desert bandit. That's all we know. If there's something that I'm forgetting, guys, comment below. I may be forgetting like one or two like lines that were said that I just forgot about, so I'm just letting you know that there may have been a couple of lines that didn't matter at some point about this. Are Toriyama interviews canon? Sure. Have you ever been in a fist fight? It's been a while. I haven't been in a fist fight in about 15 years, but yes, I have. How is it possible that in Battle of Gods, Beerus didn't know who Buu was? Great question. A lot of people have wondered about this. The only thing I can think of, there's two possible explanations. One is that when Beerus was awake previously, he never saw the fat Buu. He only saw Kid Buu, which was the original version of Buu. So perhaps he never got to see Fat Buu. Kind of seems a little weird, but you never know. Possibly Beerus was somewhere else when the entire Buu thing was going on. way back with the Kais and whatnot. Maybe he was somewhere else doing something else. That could be another possibility. The other one could also be that he just forgot, because as we know, Beerus does not have the best memory. The Oracle Fish promised him, the great warrior that he completely forgot about. So that's my explanation. It's not really explained. Maybe he just didn't recognize Fat Buu. Who knows? Maybe in Super it'll change. We'll find out soon. Does Gohan get his hidden potential from ChiChi? I've not heard this before. It's implied in early Dragon Ball Z from Nappa and a few people that Gohan and ChiChi, I'm sorry, that like humans and Saiyajin or Saiyans, when they interbreed, they create very powerful warriors, which was kind of dropped later in the series. If you notice, for a while, like, Gohan was meant to be the toughest guy, and he certainly proved it in the Cell game. And then also Goten and Trunks unlocked potential very, very young, but they still never really reached the power of Goku and Vegeta. Will that happen in Super? I don't think so. The way I always saw it, and this is my theory, this is not anywhere else in any of the materials, my theory is that when you interbreed with a human, the children become more powerful at a younger age, but I don't know if they'll ever hit the actual full power of a full-blooded Saiyan. So that's kind of my theory on that. They have faster potential, but I don't know if they've ever been able to hit that full power. We'll see if Dragon Ball Super gives us some more information on this, but there's no information in any of the series, manga or anime, that this is actually what happened. So why didn't we see Dr. Gero or Gero in the dub in Dragon Ball? Because Toriyama had not come up with him yet. That's the real answer. How did Goku get the heart virus? Great question. There are 3 different trains of thought, and I'm going to rank them by A, B, and C. A being the most likely and C being the least likely. I'm going to start with C, though. The least likely reason Goku got the heart virus, and this is purely from an argument I had with a fan years ago. Not an argument, but a discussion, is that when Captain Ginyu punched himself in the chest and they traded bodies, somehow that virus, like, he hurt his heart, and somehow that kind of transferred onto Goku. I don't believe that to be the case, though. It's a fan theory I heard years ago. I don't think that's the reason. B is that the heart virus was just a heart virus that he got on Earth, just something that was spreading around, like many of the diseases that we have in our world, and that Goku just got it. I seem to remember in the dub of the Trunks special, I'm pretty sure Bulma said something about the heart virus being an epidemic. Actually, I think in the subtitle version, when Trunks is talking to Goku, he's like, well, in the future we have a cure for it. So that one seems more likely. And then A, which was the theory for years and years and years, is that when Goku went to planet Yardrat during the 1 year in between the Freeza saga and the arrival of Trunks, that is when Goku got the heart virus from, because it was like some kind of alien virus. And you could assume that medicine in the future was able to fix those kind of alien diseases. So that would make sense. That's the way I always thought it went down. How is it that Dragon Ball got Toei as its studio for animation? Toei is pretty much the Walt Disney of Japan, and Toei was already doing Dr. Slump, so it would only be natural that when Toriyama started to draw his next manga, which was Dragon Ball, it would only make sense that he would, use Toei. I mean, Toei's the biggest company. Just like here, like if you're drawing a comic book, you obviously want Marvel/Disney to adapt it to a movie because they make the most money. You know what I mean? Even if you don't like the direction they're going, if you want to make money, that's the way to go. So that's really the answer. Dr. Slump, I mean, it's hard to argue with Toei. That's kind of the #1 company over there. Dr. Slump, they already did. And they actually also did the second Dr. Slump series. There's 2 Dr. Slump anime. There's one from the 80s and one that started right after GT, which actually looks a lot better, but doesn't seem to be as accurate. But I haven't seen it all the way through, so I can't really make a judgment on that. One of my pet peeves of the DBZ anime is that one episode the animation is drawn beautifully, but the next it looks like poorly drawn. Shaking my head, you know what I mean? Absolutely, I will be doing a video on this in detail, probably down the road. It's not going to be anytime soon. But the short answer as to why, I'm not saying that you're asking why, I do know what you mean, is because with Dragon Ball, they were really pressed for time, because unlike kind of how it works here in Japan with Dragon Ball, there were no seasons. There were no season breaks. It just ran straight through from 89 for Z to 95. Well, January 96. And then with Dragon Ball, it was from 86 to 89. So, they had no breaks. It was just straight. They had to do it. So they had multiple different animation studios working on the show. And when you have multiple animation studios, you're going to have different kinds of animation. And they're all being worked on at once. Plus, Toei skimped out on money and tried to save money by hiring some of the cheaper animation studios for some of the filler episodes or some of the in-between episodes. But if you notice, a lot of the important episodes, not all of them, but a lot of the important episodes have good animation because they kind of knew that they were important. Is Toriyama getting paid for making these past 2 DBZ movies? I don't know if this is a serious question. I'm not going to insult you or anything. I'm just going to say this. Toriyama gets paid for everything that comes out that's Dragon Ball. Like Stan Lee. Maybe not as much, but it's like Stan Lee. What happened to the Panties Oolong wished for? I don't know. Maybe he just has them in his house or in Kame house or whatever. Maybe him and Roshi, like, that'd be kind of creepy if they like wore them on their faces. There's no answer to this, man. Maybe he lost them in the rubble when Pilaf's palace blew up. I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know. Would Toriyama sell his DBZ license? He somewhat already did, even though Bird Studios and Shueisha have primary ownership over the characters of Dragon Ball. And by the way, he doesn't really own the DBZ license. Big misconception. He owns the Dragon Ball, which is everything. Like, not just Z. It's also Super, GT. Even though he did not write GT, the characters are still his, which is why he's credited, as the original author and creator of the characters. So, he did already kind of sell it to Toei to a sense. And, of course, Fox got the rights to the movies. But as far as retaining ownership of the characters, Toriyama, I don't think he'll ever sell them. I don't think so. What's the biggest plot hole in DBZ? The biggest plot hole. There's a lot of plot holes, yo. There's quite a bit. I mean, the one that always bugged me was kind of like the time travel thing. I kind of get it. There's a video on QAAMAN's channel about it. But what was weird to me is that Trunks, like the whole Trunks timeline, I was going to do a video about this. I love the Cell Saga, but in reality, there's no reason for that to have ever happened, logically, because Trunks could have... Okay, when the whole thing was going down, where the hell was Kai? You know what I mean? And you would think that Kai could communicate with the Namekians and use Porunga to wish back the dead Z fighters. I mean, that could have happened. I don't see why that couldn't have happened. Also, it's established in Dragon Ball that Goku and whoever can get a day back on Earth with Baba. So wouldn't it have made sense that Goku stays in the other world training and then gets a day back to go to Earth and fight 17 and 18 and beat them? That would have made sense. And I know somebody out there's probably saying, oh, well, he died of natural causes. He can't do that. It's never established that he couldn't do that if he died of natural causes. It's only established that somebody cannot be brought back with the Dragon Balls if they died of natural causes. But of course, I did a whole video on that. Look at the history of the Dragon Balls video that I did, Dragon Ball In Depth 10. That's one right there that kind of sticks to my mind. Of course, Dragon Ball Super kind of opened up a few new plot holes as well. There's quite a few, man. Also, the filler also created more plot holes, with the Otherworld tournament and whatnot. That didn't make any sense. And the biggest one to me, yo, is the fact that Goku was able to take Boss Rabbit to the moon, and yet he goes to the moon, and yet he somehow... Like, in the Freeza saga, Freeza keeps saying that Goku can't breathe in space, which is funny because Goku never denied it, nor did he say that he could. So maybe he can breathe in space. I don't think we ever saw Goku breathing in space, with the exception of maybe the last fight in Battle of Gods, but maybe he had the God power then. Plus, was that really space? It might have just been the stratosphere. That's one right there, but there's so many. I wasn't prepared for this question because there's so many. Check out Laughingstock Media. He has a series of videos on Dragon Ball plot holes and inconsistencies. That is a good little thing to do. I might do one similar to that. I'm not going to copy his idea, but I might do one just on the biggest plot holes. How did King Kai get his planet back? I'm glad you asked that question. It actually was revealed. This was actually revealed like this week in the super bonus chapter, sometime between the Kid Buu fight and the beginning of Dragon Ball Super. They summoned Porunga to wish back his planet, and then Kai said he wants a bigger planet with a racetrack, and then Goku was like, nah, make it the same, and the dragon made it the same. So there you go. Okay, let's see. In Battle of Gods, how did Hercule not know who Dende, the Guardian of Earth, was when he met him in the Buu arc? I don't remember him not knowing who he was, but you're probably right. I've only seen the extended cut like 3 times. And to answer your question, I'm guessing he just forgot. I mean, you know, it's in the Battle of Gods timeline, not the Super timeline. In Battle of Gods, it had been 4 years. Even though I think Dende was in the Yo Son Goku special, maybe it was 2 years. But it had been years, so maybe Hercule just forgot. That's the only thing I can think of. Supreme Kai said he couldn't teleport Dende to the Kai's world to heal Goku because he ran out of power. But a couple of scenes later, it shows him teleporting back to Kai's world. Well, I guess during that time, some time had passed and he was able to get his power back. I mean, remember, time was an issue there because the Genki Dama, he was shooting it right back at Goku, and Goku was about to die. So, you know, when Kid Buu had finally died, some time had passed, and maybe that was enough for him to get his power back. That's my guess. I mean, again, it's not really stated. I don't think that is a plot hole too badly because we don't know how much power is actually required for him to use his teleportation. So, I don't know if that's a big plot hole or not. We've got 2 more questions on this video. What do you think happened to Future Trunks? Great question. Well, actually, let me answer this one first. Do you think Master Roshi jacks off? Who doesn't? Who's a man? Let's go this one right here. What do you think happened to Future Trunks? Great question. And Xenoverse has its own idea of what happened. Of course, I don't consider that a part of the regular timeline. I'm not going to use the C word, but no. I think that Future Trunks just kind of lived his life just with his mother, and that was that. I mean, without the Cell game, I don't think Babidi and Dabura would have been able to detect, you know, that there was that much power on Earth. And I think even if Dabura had shown up, or Dabura, whatever, it's the same thing. Dabura was how it's pronounced in Japanese. Same shit. I don't know if... I honestly believe that Trunks would have been strong enough to have probably beaten Dabura. You know, I would like to believe that. But that does beg the question, though. If they use the Room of Spirit and Time, a.k.a. the Hyperbolic Time Chamber, in the past, why couldn't Trunks use it in the future also? Like when he got back, he could have probably gone in there and used it just to train and get stronger. But again, I remember they said in the manga, I believe that you can't go in there more than twice because your brain will get all fucked up or some shit, you'll go crazy, which I don't blame them for. I don't really remember exactly, but I think that was said. I think that he just kind of had a life, you know, had a wife and kids. That's a question for Toriyama more so than anybody else. Although I do wonder what would have happened, you know, like if Sorbet and Tagoma had come to Earth in the Future Trunks timeline. I do wonder, like, if they had resurrected Freeza. Even though the Dragon Balls would be gone, I don't see it. Yeah, they wouldn't have been able to bring him back, but I wonder, had they come to Earth, what would have happened? Trunks would have probably just wiped them out. So, it's tough to say. I thought about doing a video on this. I might still do it, just really give it some thought. Right now, I'm kind of on the spot, so I can't really give it some good thought, but I think he just kind of lived his life. I kind of do wish that at some point he would come back and have another adventure with the Z Fighters, maybe for a movie or something. I think that'd be cool. Maybe take Goku and Vegeta with him to the future. Alrighty, well, that is it for this bonus edition of Geekdom Q&A. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll catch y'all down the road.